They never found the bodies. They never charged the families. And yet, in Vallejo, California, entire generations knew one thing. If you talk, you vanish. Because this wasn't just crime. This was blood-sworn control. This was Vallejo's secret mafia. And the murders they left behind weren't accidents. They were messages. It starts where most stories end, with silence. Vallejo was never just another Northern California town. In the 1950s, it was a Navy powerhouse. Then, the shipyards closed. The jobs dried up, and something darker took root. Whispers of handshake deals, police shields swapped for black envelopes, and a family name no one dared to say above a whisper. They called them the Table. 7 families. One secret council. One unbroken rule. Control the city or burn the pieces that don't fit. You don't see them on election signs. You won't find them on company registries. But they're there, behind real estate firms, security contractors, and church foundations. Generational, multi-ethnic, brutal. Each family with a role. Enforcer, frontman, fixer. Together, they ran Vallejo like a chessboard soaked in gasoline. And when pawns moved the wrong way, they were removed. Every city has corruption, but Vallejo's had ritual. In the 1970s, dozens of unexplained disappearances were logged. Men, women, teenagers. Police reports, closed before being opened. Leads buried in coffee-stained folders. And always, somewhere behind it, a surname tied to land deals or trucking unions or junkyards no one dared inspect after dark. Then came the murders, like Joseph Whitman, a reporter, mid-80s, investigating the pipeline of guns moving from Vallejo into East Oakland. He was last seen in a diner off Broadway Street. 2 days later, his burned-out car was found in a ravine. No body, no suspects, just a warning etched into the metal. Right again, and it is your family next. Or Officer Sheila Martinez, a beat cop. Fresh off her probation period, she filed an internal complaint about off-the-record busts and missing drug evidence. 6 weeks later, she accidentally discharged her own weapon, twice, into the back of her own skull. Ruled suicide. Closed case. You can't explain these with logic. You explain them with power, because Vallejo wasn't broken. It was built this way. There's something older than crime operating here, something ancestral, hidden. This wasn't just mafia. This was blood-bound symbology. Multiple murders in Vallejo occurred on specific dates, equinoxes, solstices, often within 48 hours of zodiac letters being mailed in nearby counties. Coincidence or calibration? Let's talk about the Zodiac, the most notorious serial killer in California history. Cryptic letters, astrological signs, coded threats. And what city did he target repeatedly in the late 60s and early 70s? Vallejo, Lake Herman Road, Blue Rock Springs. Victims with no connections except time and place. Theories circulated. Was the Zodiac one of them? An enforcer? Or a defector sending warnings in riddles? Multiple Vallejo PD officers in the 70s were, coincidentally, transferred or resigned after speaking publicly about the Zodiac. One retired detective confessed on his deathbed. We were told not to catch him, only to contain him. Why? Because behind every monster, there is a master. And behind every killing spree, a message meant only for the initiated. Let's talk about money, because corruption needs fuel. In the 1990s, Vallejo declared bankruptcy. On paper, the city was broke. But behind closed doors, property sales surged. Luxury condos replaced public housing. Security firms staffed by ex-police officers got exclusive city contracts. A shell game of LLCs, trusts, and foundations, all with vague owners and deep political ties. The city couldn't afford public programs. But the right construction company could break ground on anything. if the money flowed through the correct pipeline. And who owned those companies? Retired mayors, nephews of judges, quiet men with large rings and no public presence, men who sat at the table. And when a whistleblower from city planning tried to speak to a local podcast in 2017, she vanished for 11 days, then reappeared with no memory, no phone, and no career. The table doesn't send press releases. They send erasures, because power isn't loud. It's surgical, silent, and absolute. If you're still watching this, you're not just curious. You're ready. Ready to see what most men aren't strong enough to face, because the next layer is dangerous. So if you're serious, go below and comment, "I don't blink in the dark." Then write it again. "I don't blink in the dark." This isn't just for engagement. It's a ritual, a marker, a moment that separates who you were from what you now see. Let them see us. Let them know we're not afraid. Let's rip deeper. Did you know Vallejo has had the highest per capita rate of police killings in California multiple times? Statistically, it outpaces cities 3 times its size. But it's not just about rogue cops. It's about what those killings protect. Every person silenced in the street sends a ripple. And in Vallejo, those ripples protect pipelines, land grabs, fentanyl routes, port access, even surveillance experiments tied to defense contractors. One former officer was caught bending his badge after every kill, literally folding it like a talisman. He claimed it marked his wins. Dark rituals disguised as ego, but rituals nonetheless. And when citizens tried to organize for justice, their leaders were audited, harassed, discredited, until they disappeared back into silence. You're not looking at a broken system. You're looking at an operational one. It works because it's not supposed to serve you. It never was. Now, here's the final cut. The one that scars if you're ready for it. The secret mafia in Vallejo isn't just local. It's a node, a ritual chamber in a national network. Cities like Camden, Fresno, Gary, Indiana, different names, same design. These places are testing grounds for psychic warfare, where control is perfected through trauma, silence, and spectacle, where power wears the face of chaos to conceal its method. And the families at the table? They report to higher ones. Invisible names with invisible power. We chase shadows on ballots, scream into broken systems, hoping for justice. But justice was never in the design. They don't fear exposure. They fear comprehension. That we will stop seeing this as random violence and start seeing it as ritualized control. So now you know. You don't live in a democracy. You live in a grid, a circuit. And every scream, every protest, every unsolved murder feeds it. Unless you break it, unless you see it, unless you walk out of the spell,